Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Table Talk. I'm your host, Jake Combs, and tonight we have some Necromunda unboxings for you guys, starting with the Aranthian Succession, Cinderak Burning. We have the Goliath Maulers. We have a Goliath Champion with Renderizer, and then the Goliath Vehicle cards. Goliath Vehicle Gang Tactics cards, if you want to be exact. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So we're actually going to start with the book for tonight. And now this book has me really excited because, one, we're getting the rules for some, if not all, of the actual vehicles for the different gangs. I know for sure that it has the rules for the Maulers, but with the recent announcement of also the vehicles for the Eschers, which I don't remember what they're called exactly, but with those, I'm expecting the rules are going to be in here as well. Possibly some rules for, Delac, maybe some of the others, but I know that in the Outlands book that came out around the time as Ash Waste did, it had rules for every gang to build custom vehicles. So, this book, as far as getting vehicle rules are concerned, isn't necessarily needed, unless, of course, you want to run those specific ones like the Maulers. So let's go ahead and crack this open. Now, the overall, the bulk of this book is meant to be a narrative campaign, from what I've read, and in addition to obviously having the rules, but with it, Lord Helmar, there's actually been an attempt on his life, and so the narrative campaign in here is going over the fallout of that. So we do have quite a bit of lore, and I'm willing to bet that the whole kind of ins and outs of that assassination attempt are going to be captured in there, most likely based on how much we're actually seeing already that is in there. I'm willing to bet that there's going to be even more stuff going on than just that. We actually even have the line of House Hilmar. And one thing I love about these books is that, we have the built-in bookmark. Personally, it's one of my favorite things with a hardcover book to have that built-in ribbon bookmark. I don't know why I love it so much, but I do. And so it makes for a nice way of keeping your page without having to worry about a bookmark falling out or anything like that. So we actually have rules for Helmar's daughter, Lady Hera. So right there. Which leads into the Succession campaign, part 1. And basically who's going to be taking over that house. And then it actually has, let's see, we got a sympathizers section. So during a Succession campaign, gangs fight for control of a special kind of territory called sympathizers. And they would either be swayed to support either Imperial House or Lady Credo's rebellion, using the most universal of all methods on Necromunda, a show of force. So basically, capturing territory is going to mean that you're going to be gaining sympathizers for whichever side you want to support with your gang. So we have Corpse Guild sympathizers, Guild of Coin, Slave Guild, Iron Guild, Imperial Imposter, Cold Trader, Narco Lord, Rogue Factoria, Fallen House, Psi Syndica, House Catalyst, House Ulanti. Holy crap, there is a lot. It's 4 pages of just different groups of sympathizers. House Gream, House Coiron, House Ranlow, House Tai, Electro Guild, Air Guild, Venator, Dregs of the Hive, Wasteland Scrapper, Second Best Smuggler, Hera Tech sympathizers, and Explorator sympathizers. So a lot of different groups that you can actually kind of bring in and help you out through this campaign. So Hera Tech. Now the name Hera Tech, the way it's written, kind of looks like it's meant to be, tech for technology, as TEK. But the name as a whole, it literally sounds like you're saying heretic. At least that's how I'm reading it. Now, there may be a different pronunciation that intended for this that I don't know about. But the description, it says, by order of the Imperium, technology is sacred. Through this does not stop some so-called heretics from delving into its secrets and building their own machines, weapons, and war gear. So basically, they're heretics of technology. This is something I've never heard of in anything with 40K. There are some types of technologies that are forbidden, like Xenos technology, but basically reverse engineering technology to build your own, I never would have expected that to be heretical in any way. So that's really interesting. Makes me wonder, how many other things like that are out there that some of us don't even know about, that like we would just assume would be okay, but in Necromunda it's not, or in 40K it's not. Let's see. Just seeing if any others stand out. So nothing else on these on those 2 pages. Okay, so here's one. Rogue Factoria talks about counterfeit weapons and war gear are of little concern to a gang if they do their job. And that basically makes it easier for gangs to purchase new weapons because it will lower the rarity of the items for them. So, with the introduction of these sympathizers, this is huge for a narrative campaign. You're now not only just playing your battles and progressing a storyline. You have to think strategically and plan ahead for which sympathizers you're going to try to win, and basically try to set yourself up for a victory in those events where before if you win versus if you lose, it's just going to change how many credits you earn in most campaigns. But now having this feature is huge because you're getting benefits for basically gaining those sympathizers. And what's really funny, at least to me, is several years ago I actually wrote a campaign for this exact same thing for a different game, and I was actually working with the publishers of that game to make it actually a huge community event. And then it ended up not going through. And now we have pretty much the exact same thing I conceived of for that game here in Necromunda. Now, obviously, that tells me that my idea may not be as original as I thought, which at the time I honestly knew it wasn't super original, but it also wasn't being done either. So this is something I am really excited about. This is really cool. It makes me really want to get out there and start a campaign or a league, at my local shop or something, so that way I can actually start making use of these rules and just playing this new dynamic. Now, on page 73 is where we actually start getting our new hangers-ons that we can get, different agents, bounty hunters. Like we have Gorshiv Hammerfist, which he's on the cover of the book. Athera House Agent, Vespa Minx, which she is actually one of the Forge World Orlocks, from what I recall. The Fall of Bad Zone's Outpost is looks like a place that you can actually fight at. There's Gunk War, They Come From Below. So these are the actual missions that you can do. Out of the Storm, Assassin in the Spire. So Assassin in the Spire, it looks like it has a special rule called Strike at Lord Helmar. If players wish, they may use this scenario to represent a murder cyborg infiltrating the Spire in order to take out Lord Helmar. In order to do this, make the following changes. The defenders should use a Palanite Enforcers gang using patrolmen as the sentries and creating a reinforcements deck with the rest of their gang. The attackers should use the profile of a gang leader with 100 credits of war gear and close combat weapons to represent the murder cyborg. So that sounds pretty cool. I mean, basically, if you want the assassin to go after Lord Helmar, I mean, you're essentially decking out that assassin for the fight. So some really cool missions to play in here. And we do have pictures of the Escher floating bikes. So let's see if we actually have the rules for them too. So the section called Additional Rules. The Escher Cutter. So they're called cutters. I had forgotten about that. Those rules are here. We have the Escher Helion. Goliath Road Thug Crew. The Goliath Mauler, which we're going to open up here in just a sec. We have Gang Tactics for both Escher and Goliath. So it looks like those are the only ones that are included in this book as far as specific gangs are concerned. All right, so I'm hoping that going forward that we start seeing a lot more books like this that just overall have just an overarching storyline. And I mean, depending on how they move forward with this. I mean, obviously there's going to be the true to lore outcome, which, if Lord Helmar dies and one of his 13 children takes over, or however many he has, it continues that line of succession. But if the rebellion wins, that's going to change a lot of things too. And okay, so hear me out on this. I'm making a prediction based on only seeing this book alone, and comparing it to Warcry. So games are vastly different as far as some of the overall mechanics, some gang building, things like that. I get that. That's not where I'm going with this. But when the battle was with Warcry was taken out of the 8 peaks, or not 8 peaks, out of the 8 points, and was placed in Gur specifically. With that big change came a new edition. And that new edition came out relatively early in the timeline of when Warcry started. And Necromunda's been around a lot longer. I mean, this overall is our 2nd edition that I'm aware of. And, the first one being in the 90s. And then we have this event that has the potential of rewriting the political landscape of the planet itself in just this one campaign set. And so what my prediction is, some of you may have already figured out where I'm going with this, but the rebellion wins. Helmar is removed. Somebody else is now in charge. Lady Greedo is the winner. It's going to change everything about politics, about how things are run. I think it's going to open up new opportunities of areas to engage in, where like Ash Wastes, that wasn't a new addition, that was just an expansion. We just added vehicle rules, we added locations. But I think that where Games Workshop is going with this is they're going to have the Rebellion win and use that as the catalyst to do a new edition. Basically kind of refine the rules even further, add maybe some new features, and basically open it up to areas that of Necromunda that really have not been fleshed out before. Kind of like how, like with Kill Team, for example, the recent version of Kill Team, each release is a different theater of battle. What if each Necromunda release going forward is a different section of the Underhive? Like we'll have one that's going to be, the sewers and, where things are grown, to feed the populace, or like a corpse grinder factory, things like that. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that they can do with this if they want to. I mean, they could easily have Lord Helmar and his family win overall and have a member of his family take over. Rules aren't going to change drastically. There might be some point changes like within errata, but I think that they're going for basically a shakedown of everything that we know as far as Necromunda's hierarchy is currently concerned. And one, it's going to make for some insane stories just dealing with the fallout. But that's where I'm predicting it's going. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Where do you think Necromunda is going next? Do you think Helmar is actually going to win as far as the overarching story is concerned, or do you think Credo's rebellion is going to win? And let's get some dialogue going. Let's talk about it, and let me know why you think one way or the other. And I'd love to continue this discussion there. And then depending on if we get enough people commenting, what I may end up doing is basically taking the reasons, and we could even do a video with discussing what everyone was saying as far as the comments are concerned. So if you have an opinion one way or the other, please share that opinion, let us know, and we'll, depending on how many people engage, we may open this up to a video just to discuss the future of Necromunda itself. But some really cool stuff ahead for sure. Now, moving on to the Maulers and the Goliath Champion with Renderizer. Now, kind of shook things about a little bit, so I'm not going to open it up because I don't want to accidentally lose any pieces before I'm ready to actually build him. Now, he's got some decent detail. The one thing I don't like about Forge World resin, because this is a Forge World model, you end up having a lot more flash or kind of extra material compared to the plastic models, and I'm personally not really sure why they do Forge World in resin where the main stuff is in plastic. Be interesting to discuss the reasoning behind that. But when you do the Forge World resin, especially when you do like some of the smaller details like the blades coming off of this chain axe, you end up getting a lot of flash in between the blades, so that's all going to need to be trimmed off. But otherwise, the details look really crisp, really clean. Not really seeing any actual mold lines other than, again, the flash that's there. But definitely a really cool looking model, and we'll zoom in on what we can see there without opening that up. Like I said, I just don't want to risk losing the pieces. And so now we're going to go ahead and crack both of these. All right, so starting with the cards. Now, these cards themselves are covered inside the book, so that way if you don't want to have the physical cards, you can just use the book and then roll a dice to do it instead. Man, this does not want to open. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. So, overall, just looking at the cards, you have a stack of Ganger cards, so you can put all your stats and everything there for your gang, and then we have the actual vehicle tactic cards themselves. So just pick one at random. King of the Wastes. Play this gang tactic during the post-battle sequence when receiving scenario rewards. If at least one friendly vehicle is still on the battlefield, add 1 to the gang's reputation. So pretty simple objective. Here's the Immovable Object. Play this gang tactic when a friendly vehicle is involved in a vehicle collision before moving any models. The vehicle is not moved as a result of the collision. So basically, that just means that there's going to be a lot less randomness as far as what happens to your vehicle next. And then we'll look at one more. Last Gasp. Play this tactic when a friendly vehicle is wrecked before rolling on the lasting damage table. The vehicle may immediately make a free fire all basic action. So I don't know that action off the top of my head, based on the name, I'm guessing it probably means that you're more or less getting like a bonus attack. Oops, I forgot to put the blank stat cards. Now, I like that they make the tactic cards, because me personally, I would rather have the cards out than having to go to the book and then read from a table, especially if I'm, trying to reference it later, because it's one of the ones that is only applicable in certain scenarios. All right, so now the Maulers. So the Maulers, these ones are from Games Workshop proper, and not Forge World. So these are going to be the plastic models. Looks like we got some alternate heads. And according to the box, it looks like that's the only thing that's really got alternate on there. So we have our 2 bases. All right, and then we have our assembly instructions. Nothing too crazy. It looks pretty simple looking at these. And it looks like that there actually are some alternatives as far as like the weapons that you're placing on the Maulers, as well as the different heads. All right, and then we have 2 sprues. Let's see, are they exactly the same? Yes, they are. So, 2 of the same sprue, and there are 2 different bodies, 4 different heads, and 2 different gun sets for each vehicle. So you can have them both be the same guns, you can have them be one of each. Excuse me. But definitely some cool stuff here. I mean, there's a good amount of detail on them. And like, I really like the look of the actual tires themselves. I mean, they look like they're going to have a lot of traction in the waists, especially. And then there's like some other moving treads, and kind of like almost like a tank tread on the back. But some really good detail, and again, based on looking at this and looking at the instructions, looks like it's going to be a really simple build. So definitely looking forward to putting these together, because I see myself doing them quite quickly as far as that assembly process is concerned. And they are some really cool looking models. Now, Goliath has really always been one of my favorite gangs, just because when I typically play, I'm usually going for more of a brute force mentality when I'm playing. I use a lot less subterfuge when playing Necromunda, because for me, it's like, I love campaigns and narrative stories when I play, but most of the people I play, they just want to battle. And so, with that in mind, I tend to just keep it keep it simple, go in there, just smash the hell out of them, and get to the objective. Where most other people are trying to be sneaky about what they're doing and stuff. And so Goliath worked really well for that kind of mentality. And as far as like aesthetics go, Escher's always been my favorite. And then like the old rat skins were another one of my favorites too. And same with the scavies. But neither of those have made it back to this edition of Necromunda. But there's always time to hope for one of those to make a comeback. But again, some really cool stuff on here. Really looking forward to building this and getting them out on the wastes and seeing what I can do with them. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the sprue now. All right, so here's the sprue. Like I said, it's two different sprues, or two copies of the same sprue rather. And then so here you can see the traction I was describing, but of course the camera doesn't want to focus on it right there very well, so it's a little fuzzy, sorry. And then it looks like the bodies themselves are pretty much the exact same, even though the pictures kind of make it look like they're slightly different. But with the kind of old school style where it's kind of flush where the arms go, you can adjust a little bit so that way it's more of a natural fit with how the hands are on the handlebars, which are, where'd they go? Right here. All right, now that we're done with that, again, if you guys would like to continue the discussion about the future of Necromunda, please post something in the comments, and we'll definitely respond to it and join that discussion with you. And interested to know, what you guys think is coming next, if not a new edition like I think there might be. And again, keep in mind that this is entirely based on what I'm reading alone than anything that anybody at Games Workshop has told me. Now, one thing I did forget to mention at the beginning is that these items were provided by Games Workshop for the purpose of this video. With the exception of the Forge World model, these items are officially available for pre-order as of today, the date that the video is releasing, where the Forge World model actually was available for pre-order the week before and is officially available for purchase as of today. And again, that's the date of this video airing, because these were sent ahead of time for the purpose of making this video, so that way it would be out in time for those pre-orders. But that's it for tonight. Thank you guys as always for watching, and if you haven't already, please hit that like button. We are trying to get up to 1,000 likes, so that way we can actually get one of those fancy custom URLs for the page or the channel. And we definitely have a lot more things to come. And also want to give a shout out to my buddy Rio for designing our new logo for YouTube. Really appreciate that. Thank you, Rio. But again, that's it for tonight. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see you next time. Thank you.